Hello, beauty, and welcome to this podcast episode where we are going to have a discussion about how you are shoulding or wronging yourself. And we're going to have a discussion about it because whenever you should or wrong yourself, typically that creates guilt or shame. And when you are experiencing guilt and or shame, you are going to either retreat your energy to a degree, or feel like you have to go into performance mode to cover up and hide what you're failing at, what you're not doing that you should be doing. If you're telling yourself, I should be doing this, I should be here, I should be on top of this, you're wronging yourself. And when you wrong yourself, you literally create separation for yourself. And, when you have this sense of wrongness, you are then not going to be able to own yourself and show up with the confidence and conviction that you would love to with your work. When you're wronging yourself and you're going along with some narrative that you're failing at something, you're not doing what you should do, you are going to diminish your level of confidence and conviction in yourself. So if you have been feeling like you've been out of your power, maybe there's times where you've been really in your power and you just feel like at the moment, I'm just feeling out of my power. I'm feeling self-conscious in showing up on social media, or I'm feeling like I'm just not able to hold my certainty and conviction that I have at other times, or I know that I want to, or I see as possible, but I'm just feeling separated from that. And I don't know how to bridge the gap with that and come into maybe for the first time, that confidence and conviction about who I am, what I'm offering, and how fucking badass it is. Well, this is going to be one of the components that's creating a disruption in your system that makes it literally impossible for you to own yourself with that confidence and conviction, because unconsciously, you actually think you need to hide part of yourself. Because when you are shooting yourself and wronging yourself, you typically feel like you need to hide that to a degree, right? And so then that is either going to cause you, as I said, to retreat and pull back, or feel like you have to perform when you show up and perform. But when you're performing, you're not in your authenticity, and so it doesn't hit, and you're not connecting with people's hearts. And people can feel there is a felt vibration when someone is performing versus someone being deeply embodied and authentic and in their heart. And that creates connection. Performance doesn't create connection with people. It can work to a certain degree at what you're trying to achieve, but it's also you're going to feel even more like an imposter and continued feeling like an imposter and continue feeling out of your power if you feel like you have to perform and you're in performance mode. Always coming back to yourself is going to be the way back into connection with others as well. This is something that I wanted to create an episode on because I was just going through an inventory on this myself and noticing where I've unconsciously started to build up some guilt and shame that I'm not doing things better, or that I'm not doing certain things that my mind is telling me I should. There's a couple of things that contributed to this. One, I had a somatic release session recently with someone. It's not something that I would typically go for, not that I have anything against it, but it came through a referral of a friend. And it was something that actually helped them really unlock their hips. And that is something that I am working on at the moment. So I was like, cool, let me have a session with this woman. The woman that was doing the somatic release was also very intuitive. So she was channeling things about me. And she brought up shame. That's a signature emotion and experience I've had to work through. And because of that, I continually unconsciously go into shame about things. And my unconscious reaction is, I need to hide this. Whatever the thing is, if it's different from someone, if it's not what someone agrees with, my unconscious egoic reaction is, I need to hide this. I need to hide this. I need to hide myself from the world. It's literally not safe to be out in the world or be seen. And so she brought up shame, and initially I was like, yeah, but like I've worked through so much of my shame, and the things you're talking about from my childhood, I'm very open about them now. I've kind of de-shamed them to a degree. And after the session, I just kept sitting with it. Shame. Okay, actually, have I let go of as much shame as I think I have? And I started to realize I hadn't. I started to realize like, okay, yeah, I'm open about these certain things, but if I actually had to tell my really specific, most shameful stories that I feel shame around, I just can even start crying thinking about sharing them. And I was like, wow, okay, I do have some shame there. And unconsciously, shame just starts building up, because of my egoic perspective on things, how my ego thinks things should go. And then I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender again. If you know, you know, best series ever. And I was watching the episode where Aang is with the guru, and the guru is taking him through each of the chakras, and he's telling him what blocks the energy at each chakra, and so therefore what he needs to let go of. And one of them was shame and one of them was guilt. And so he was asking Aang, what are you still holding shame about? And Aang came into his mind, he said it, moved through it, let it go. Okay. And then same with guilt. And that also got me thinking about, okay, what am I still holding shame about, or what am I holding guilt about? So I was looking at these themes of shame and guilt. And there's something that came up as well just in my business planning sort of process, was all these things I was feeling guilty that I hadn't done yet, and that I wasn't doing, and that I wasn't on top of. And I just saw how like unconsciously I started to feel bad that I'm not this projected idea of perfect, and I noticed like all of these things that were actually going on under the surface. Like I was feeling guilty that I wasn't showing up more on social media. I wasn't posting more. And like when I looked at it, I was like, says who? That's who that I should be doing more of that. I have seasons where I do more of that. But actually right now I'm in a season of birthing a new program that's like my methodology. And for that process, I actually had to take a lot of energy inwards. And if I put all of my energy into outwards creating content, I wouldn't have the energy to do that. Right now, I'm in a season of energy inwards and like recalibration and creating like this new thing that I'm bringing through. And then as that starts coming through, my energy will start moving out more, and I will do more content, and I will show up on social media for more. I have not disappeared off social media, but I'm just not putting as much energy into it because I'm putting energy into these other things. But I notice unconsciously I'm going like, oh, I'm failing at that. I should be doing more. I should be more like this. I should be showing up more in this energy. I should be, then I like all these things I'm feeling guilty that I haven't got to yet, that I told myself I wanted to do already, like editing my next vlogs. I've got a few vlogs sitting there ready to be edited. I'm just trying to think what else. Recording the audiobook for my podcast. Not for my podcast, for my book. Recording the audiobook. I'd already found someone to edit it. I'd reached out to them and I was like, yep, I'm just going to do it. And creating more YouTube videos. There was a list of maybe like 5 things that I'm not doing, that unconsciously I'm actually telling myself I should be doing and feeling guilty that I'm not doing them. And I just saw that and I was like, wow, and that all comes off this egoic concept for me. Not everyone necessarily has this, but like for me, that I should be perfect and perfectly executing everything and having unlimited energy to execute everything. When I look at this practically, I just don't even know if I could execute all of those things I said, plus all of the things I actually have been executing with the amount of fucking time that I have in a day, right? But unconsciously, I'm just not even looking at it that way. And I'm not looking at myself as a human being that just like is just a human and has human needs and has a cycle and has a certain amount of energy and time. I'm just going, everything should have happened. And if I was perfect, it all would have happened. And it hasn't, which means I'm failing and I'm not doing good enough. And I'm, like even judging myself for not having more energy and not being more quote unquote perfect in my execution. Guys, I am just seeing, I look out the window onto this like bit of jungle. There's like a creek that goes right next to my house. And I'm seeing a bird that has a red beak and this bright blue tail and bright blue on the ends of its wings. I've never seen it before. It's absolutely fucking incredible. Wow. Oh my God. I just understand that. Oh, God, it's so beautiful. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, and it's explode off. Oh my God, the blue. Amazing. Okay, it's out of my sight now. And so yeah, like where I'm wronging myself, where I'm making myself wrong. And here's what I notice. When that happens, I then want to actually retreat more because I think that I'm wrong and I'm failing in some capacity and I'm not being at the level of brilliance like I should be being. And therefore, like I'm failing my people, I'm failing like the people I'm serving, I'm failing whatever. And all that does is shut down my energy more and disconnect me from my power. I put the power out there and it's like an internalization or an expression of I'm not enough. I'm not enough, or I'm not whole, or I'm not doing it right, or I am lacking. I am falling short. And all that is going to do then is take you out of your power in the level of certainty, conviction, and just like full energy that you put behind what you're here to share with the world, because you're actually now wanting to start hiding parts of yourself or feeling like you need to perform to conceal parts of yourself. And this disconnects you from that confidence and conviction. The confidence, conviction, and certainty in your work and your ability to show up in just full ownership of both yourself and your work and what you're offering is absolutely dependent on your ability to embrace yourself as whole, as how you are and who you are right now. And when you do that, you shift yourself into seeing things from a higher perspective. And I want to give you an example of this. So for me right now, I am in a phase, as I've mentioned, of like taking my energy within, like I've just launched and created a whole bunch of things and going, okay, like what's the next thing that wants to come through? Like, there's also just like some other shits going on with it. And, my next thing to come through and go within for that. And honestly, when I look at it from a higher perspective, when I'm connected to the truth of who I fucking am and my greatness and my power, I see absolutely nothing wrong with the process. And it all just seems so obvious and right. Okay. It's like, okay, last year I created these programs. I then launched FMS. I then wrote an entire book and edited it and published it and created the clothing collections and the dildos or whatever. And now, then there's been this next phase of like, okay, like letting all of that land and then knowing there's this next program that I want to bring through that's actually like really the next level of my work, bringing it together. And rather than having it sort of more so in these pieces, like bringing it together in this full system and structure and taking people through that transformation with it. And so that's something that's like, cool, like go within and really receive what that is. Like I'm not just creating a 4-week course that I can just whack together a sales page and then create the thing as I go along. That's another thing. That's different. That's got a different creative process to like, okay, let's, for the first time ever, fully formulate in a cohesive structure my body of work that I am always using and taking my clients through. And that's, what, like my unique thing that has come through me that you can't get from anywhere else. And, and like, I'm actually like coming to quite an exciting point with it where I'm ready to start actually bringing it out and talking about it and creating taster offers and running it quite soon. And when I see it from a higher perspective like that, I'm like, yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's also like all the ego. What's the ego experience of everything that I built and birthed last year and at the end of last year? And then sort of like, okay, like that next level of things to work through as I sort of came into a new version of myself. Like that's also been going on at the same time. And that's just all part of like the journey and process of creating and self-realization and self-actualization and like, you know, creating your work and putting it out into the world. There's like, I literally see not a single wrong thing with it, you know, that I haven't been as like on social media and posting like twice a day, every day this year. I just like, that hasn't even been appropriate to what like my next phase and what's been required and called of my energy and where to put my energy and focus. So I see that. But if I want to go down the spiral of my ego and my ego's perspective, I can start judging lots of things as very wrong. Like I can, as I said, make it wrong that I haven't put more energy on social media. I haven't been like growing my social media. I haven't been doing X, I haven't been doing Y, I haven't been doing Z. Like I haven't been like a literal like robot that needs no sleep and just like perfectly executes on everything in constant high energy. Like that's not the way it is. It never is, you know, but that's the belief that you need to be perfect, which I have as one of my core wound things. And I know a lot of women have. And when I see it from that ego perspective, I start seeing things as wrong. I'm like, no, because I should be in constant output, constant growth, constant like high energy, constant energy going out. And you know, and then I can start feeling more and more wrong. And like, I think this is a good example because I think you can follow me here where when I'm seeing things that way and I think I'm failing and I'm doing it wrong and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not doing social media right. I'm not like having some massive growth spurt like someone else, like I'm maybe witnessing, you know, then I start to feel like I'm falling short and I'm failing and like there's something like wrong about me and lacking about me. And then what does that do for how I'm going to show up and my certainty and conviction in myself, my path, my work? What does it do? It completely kills it. To whatever degree I'm playing into that ego story, right? If I'm like swinging right into that ego story, I feel too ashamed to even show up on social media or even post something. I feel like such a fraud. If I just like, am just kind of got a little bit going on in the background, then I might just be a bit subdued and a bit retreated and still sharing things, but not in that like fucking unapologetic energy of like, if you want to make this change in your life, like this is what you got to let go of. This is what you got to do, because I'm not feeling in that full certainty because I am falling into the illusion that there's something defective and limited and not enough and not good enough about me when there's not. When there's not. Or, you know, the other thing that makes you go into that is when you genuinely think that there's something not enough about the point in time where you are right now and lacking, and you need to hide that. But the answer truly to coming back into your power is owning everything about yourself and the path you're journeying right now. Like the moment in time you're journeying right now. That brings you into your power. That actually also, I'm not going to go into it in this episode, but that also actually puts you in terms of your consciousness and your mindset in a mode where anything that actually is really obvious to address and change and do something about, say you did slip into some pattern in some regard and you really like, let's say, retreated from social media and just didn't show your face for a month because you went into a shame spiral or something, let's say something like that did happen, is that you know, only when you just own that there's nothing wrong with you and that's just part of your process for your area of growth you're going through right now and what you're creating. Like when you do that, that actually gives you the access in your consciousness to address that and to pick yourself back up and go, okay, cool. Like, all right, well, let's change this then. Let's wake up from this. Like Like it allows you to even see the next step and take the next step to pull yourself out of it if you have gone into something dysfunctional. But while you keep making yourself wrong and I should have done better, this shouldn't have happened, you're just going to like go down that negative spiral of like believing there's something wrong with you and then retreating and creating more and more separation from your work because you feel even more wrong. And like, there's even more something that defective about you. But when you can just own even what even is the quote unquote defective about you, it's nothing defective about you, but like when you can just own that and not make that wrong, not make that something that shouldn't have happened, then you can actually move forward in your power. Then you connect yourself with your power again, and you can come back into your certainty and conviction immediately. Immediately. As soon as you do that, you will come back into your power, certainty, and conviction. As soon as you go, yep, okay. Like, let's say you're a fitness coach and you like fell off your fitness journey and like gained a bunch of weight, and maybe even like your message was about like how to stay in a certain shape or something. It's just as like a very easy to see example. And you fell off it. And then you go, okay, cool. Like, I'm just not going to make that wrong. Like, I'm a human. I am affected by all the same shit my clients are affected by. And what makes me an effective leader is how I can lead myself through it and how I can lead others through it. And that makes me an effective leader, not being perfect. Like, that is what makes me effective. So I'm going to pick myself up. I'm going to do like what I know works, what I would advise my client to do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to like, get back on it. And then like through you sharing that, and you sharing that as a leader, and you sharing that as someone who just owns it and owns yourself, like you're actually going to be even more attractive for the people you're meant for, because you show your humanness of being subject to the same thing and how you've led yourself through it and, back into your power and, the steps that you're taking. Like, that's just an example to show you, like, when you just own it, you own yourself, that there's no way you're failing. There's nothing you're doing wrong. If there's something you're doing dysfunctional, that you just own that as not wrong either. That's just you being human. And like, that's also probably what other people are experiencing. And if you don't make that wrong anymore and you just see it for the truth of what it is, okay, how will I pick myself up from this? Like, what will I do then? Then you have the access to do that, but you don't have the access to do that while you're in the illusion and like the whirlpool of like, oh my God, I'm so wrong. This is so bad. Like, I can't get a grip on myself. You've got no power there. That, you're just going to stay locked in it. So what I want to invite you to reflect on from this episode is like, where are you holding on to guilt? What are you wronging yourself for? What are you shooting yourself for? What are all the things you're telling yourself you should be doing or you should have done by now that you haven't? And where are you holding shame? Where are you holding like, this is wrong about you, or this is wrong about how you've done things? And I want to invite you to actually just list all those things out and decide, all right, I'm going to stop making any of this wrong. This is just where I am. This is my life path. And this is for me to journey through. This actually connects quite well to the last episode I recorded on your Dharma and not comparing yourself to others and your life path. And to just choose, I'm going to give up this fucking guilt thing, because that is just your ego trying to use this certain emotion to gain some sense of control, to compel you into behavior that it thinks is going to make you more safe. But it's not. It's an illusion of your separateness. It's an illusion that there's anything unwhole, wrong, or defective about you. And there's not. You have a higher self, a soul, and you have an ego, a human. And the more you can just embrace your human and not take it personally and make it wrong and make it now this big bad thing, the more you'll just take all the energy out of that, and you'll be able to suddenly take all the actions you weren't able to take before and show up in your power, your confidence, and conviction in a way you never can when you're wronging or shoulding any part of yourself. This is something I could go on and on about, but I think I covered this point pretty well, so I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to encourage you to actually stop and write those lists and go, where am I unconsciously shooting myself, wronging myself, feeling guilty, or feeling even shame? Okay, I hope this has served you. If you did get something from this episode, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment, or if you're on YouTube, it really helps me know what to make even more podcast episodes on. And I'm sending you so much love.